A little boy climbed an apple tree. He stole an apple, then two, then three. And when he started to climb back down, he slipped and he landed on the ground. Up jumped the devil, up jumped the devil. And every time he turned around, up jumped the devil in the white nightgown.
We are tracking breaking news out of the Middle East, an attack on Iran.
And this very well could escalate the war.
Some new developments on a threat to Israel. Iran has vowed revenge, and U.S. officials say that attack could come at any moment.
Breaking news in a major escalation of the crisis in the Middle East.
I think of myself as very much a sort of post-war generation, the generation that didn't go through two world wars. A very gloomy thought, but we could be a pre-war generation. We could be the generation before the next big world war.
We are devoted to the defense of Israel. We will support Israel. We will help defend Israel, and Iran will not succeed.
This does not look good, guys. Giant explosions in Iran.
My analysis is very gloomy. All the red lights are flashing, and you feel powerless to stop this First World War march towards the trenches. You know exactly what's going to happen in the trenches, and you just want people to say, stop, literally stop the war. That is all you want to say.
Good afternoon, America and the rest of the world. Xander J. Hobson here, comedian, director, and producer of boxing documentaries, and for the sake of this video, war correspondent. This here is another episode of Hell for Leather News, brought to you by the Brilliant Artist Movement. Folks, please subscribe, like this video, share it, and don't forget to leave a comment in the comment section, because I enjoy exchanging opinions and points of views with you all, as well as checking out the feedback from these videos that I make. Folks, it seems as though Israel, Great Britain, and the United States are on the brink of war with Iran and anyone who may be a supporter of Iran. Since 1953, the United States and Great Britain have been riding hard with Israel. And it seems as though they're going to ride hard with Israel right into the burning fire that might be another war.
And now shifting focus to the war in the Middle East, Israel says that it is ready to handle any scenarios that may unfold against Iran. Now, Iran-backed Hezbollah, too, has threatened retaliatory strikes of a magnitude that it claims Israel has never seen before.
October 7th, 2023, Hamas attacked Israel, and Israel justifiably retaliated against them. But what has now transpired, even though Israel was the victim has now seemed to have turned into the aggressor, and it appears as though the rest of the world no longer has the stomach or the compassion for Israel.
Kill and kill and kill, start bigger wars. 33,000 people dead isn't enough. 1 million starving Palestinians isn't enough. Hit them in their last remaining city where all the refugees are. Hit Iran, and don't worry.
As Washington tries to cool tensions in the region, Iran has reportedly offered not to strike Israel if an immediate ceasefire is achieved in Gaza.
Israel attacked Iranian embassy, and as a result of that, Iran gave a bit of a retaliation. They gave Israel more than 24 hours to let them know that they were going to attack. And Israel and the United States shot down a large number of the missiles and the drones that Iran sent to attack. Iran basically said to Israel, like, hey, listen, you guys attacked us, we attacked you back, and we're even. Now, if you want to take this thing a little farther, I'm just letting you know it's going to get nasty from here on out.
Israel says it will take on the threat from Iran and all of its proxies with support from the United States.
The IDF knows how to deal with Iran, offensively and defensively. We are prepared for this. We have good defensive systems, and we know how to act forcefully against Iran in both near and distant places. We are operating in cooperation with the United States and strategic partners in the region.
By not bombing too aggressively, by giving us advance notice, Iran was basically saying, we don't want a war. And what did we do? No. Now it looks like Israel's saying, no, how clear did we have to be? We do want a war, and we will make America fight it for us.
The United States has a very weak standing in the world because of that 20-year war as a result of 9/11. And we came out of that really, really bad. The country was plunged into debt as a result of this two-front war, one in Afghanistan, the other one in Iraq, and it cost us trillions of dollars. And as a result of that, the United States no longer has the capacity to wage war.
And Biden's basically greenlighting it, but saying, okay, but we're going to make an exchange, but don't bomb Iran because that, and then we'll send you the 26 billion. Used to be 14 billion. Now all of a sudden, Mike Johnson, whose number one donor is AIPAC, is saying, oh, let's make it 26 billion. And Democrats are like, yes. I mean, we care so much about Palestinian lives. I mean, we want to avoid a wider regional war, but give Israel more money.
As an American citizen, I'm appalled by this. And another thing that really bothers me is how countries like Iran and Russia now have the balls to threaten the United States. I mean, 30, 40 years ago, they wouldn't have dared. President Kennedy had basically punked the Soviet Union when they were trying to put missiles in Cuba. But now you have Vladimir Putin in 2024 threatening the United States, telling them, you better not get in this war with Iran. You better not get in this war that we got going with Ukraine. Twice already. It hasn't even been a full year, and Putin has threatened the United States twice. And then you have Iran threatening the United States. Now, the thing about all of that is just, as an American, it blows me away at how weak our standing now is in the world. And you have Joe Biden tripping and falling, looking like an old guy that's pretty much on life support. He's the face of the United States, but he looks weak and pathetic compared to Vladimir Putin, compared to Rossi, I believe the gentleman's name, who's the president of Iran. The same thing with the Chinese president. You put Biden up against any of these guys, he looks like a feeble old man. I think Biden's best days was when he was the vice president, acting as the backup quarterback for Barack Obama. But as the president of the United States, he looks weak, he exerts weakness, and he's allowing Benjamin Netanyahu to lead him around by the nose to start a war with Iran.
So Putin has got cards to play. Iran has got cards to play. As far as I can see, Israel and the West have played all its cards and are in a much, much worse position. And they're just watching us get weaker and trip over ourselves. It's always worth keeping your eye on who's not fighting a war in the Middle East and how much they're profiting from staying on the sidelines. And clearly, China and its influence on the Middle East is rising as America is falling. If you remember, Chinese diplomats were called in very much to the American surprise by the Saudis to stage the diplomatic coup of re-establishing relations with Iran. And China is quietly sitting on the sidelines, establishing good relations with Arab states, growing in influence simply because it is not involved in all of these self-defeating wars. In this case, it's a question of who will prevail. The West is still trying to stem shock and awe, gunboat diplomacy, and in this world, they're playing a 19th century game where the Houthis are playing a 21st century game.
Are the airstrikes in Yemen working?
No. So it's no longer a question of the blind leading the blind when it comes to analyzing this really tortuous relationship between the US and Israel, with Biden saying one thing and Netanyahu doing something completely different. It is the strategically weak being led by the tactically angry.
And you know what I think makes me more angrier than anything else? You got China sitting on the sidelines, rubbing their hands together, just taking it all in. When I think about it, right, China, to me, they are like the guy at the pawn shop waiting for you to come in there and pawn your jewelry, pawn your TV, pawn your car. I mean, it's amazing how China is really the big winner in this whole thing. China basically, in my opinion, they came up off of the United States. George W. Bush, he's probably my favorite president of all, and that's a whole nother story. I'm not going to get into that, but it is basically his fault that China got the opportunity to come up off of the United States of America, because he was the president who was so hell-bent on running up in Afghanistan and running up into Iraq that it created an opportunity of the lifetime for China. China probably didn't even know going into the 2000s that America would basically come and pawn all their shit to them, because who saw that coming? But at the end of the day, countries like China, Iran, and even Russia, they have been sitting on the sidelines, staying out of wars, because wars put a drain on your economy. They just been pretty much just building up their economy, building up their technology, and sitting back getting rich, while the United States and Great Britain kept going out into the field and fighting and carrying on like park apes. And places like China and Iran and Japan and Germany, these guys were like the squares, man. They was like the guys that stayed in class, you know what I mean? They got the real good grades. But in the meantime, you had countries like the United States and Great Britain. They were the guys that hung out in the hallway. They were the guys that smacked everybody in the back of the head. But now the rest of the world has grown up. And what's the United States and Great Britain doing? And Israel, because they could be a part of that, because they all the same little clique. United States, Great Britain, and Israel. These were the guys, these were the thugs that hung out in the hallways. And now what happened is the whole world has grown up. You know, people have gotten smart. It's the technology and all of that stuff. They have mastered technology. And like the gentleman said, the United States, Great Britain, and Israel, they're all moving in the 19th century, and everybody else is in the 21st century. And the US and the others, they're all left in the dust, man. So, you know, I just had to make this video. You know, I haven't made this is probably like my second video I made this year. It hasn't been anything that I could get really, really passionate about. But I'm an Air Force retiree. I'm also a Marine Corps veteran. And like my mentor, my friend Don King says, only in America. But for the past 24 years, I've been watching America go to shit because of all the stealing and all the crap that's been going on here. And to see it unfold in front of my eyes the way it has, it's just blowing me away, man. So let me get ready to get off of here. Matter of fact, I'm finished with this, man. I don't want to just keep ranting, but I'm just so angry at what's going on that I just had to get on here and make a video about it. So with that said, ladies and gentlemen, I'm done with it.